Hi everyone, welcome to the Latte Lounge, and I'm just going to wait for our guests to join us. Hope everyone is well. Anyway, tonight, while we wait, I'm going to be joined by the lovely Kate, who I can see is there, so I'm going to let her in now. Hi Kate, I think you have to request to join. There she is. Are you there, Kate?
I am here.
There she is. You're frozen.
I know. Well, it did this last night. It might. There we go.
You are. How are you? Nice to see you.
I always get so nervous that it's not going to work.
Oh no, I don't. Look, lovely to see you. Welcome to the Latte Lounge.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk to you. I just hope I can meet you soon at some point. And
I know it's weird, these Instagram relationships. I sort of feel like we all know each other, and yet none of us have actually ever met. So one day we'll have a massive meetup somewhere with a glass of wine or something.
Yes, no, we will. It's weird because, like, for all its faults, social media, which there are many, it has brought about some wonderful friendships and connections. So I'm really grateful for those, of which you're one.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to just welcome you properly and officially so everyone knows who you are, and we're just going to let a few people join. But as I said at the beginning, I'm delighted to be joined by the lovely Kate Rowe-Ham. Is it Rowe-Ham or Rowe-Ham?
Rowe-Ham. Yes, that's
Rowe-Ham. And Kate is an online menopause fitness coach and personal trainer. And Kate runs free daily workouts every morning on Instagram. We're going to be talking about finding motivation and time for fitness through midlife, menopause and beyond. And we're going to be here, guys, for about half an hour. And if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments, and Kate and I will try to answer them as we go along. So welcome. Kate, why don't we start off? Obviously, you and I haven't actually met. So tell me and everyone else who's watching a little bit about you, through your sort of journey to what you do now.
Wow. I'll try and make it brief because I do like to talk. Good thing through these lives, otherwise it's all a bit quiet. But no, so I essentially trained and became a personal trainer quite late in the game. I had worked actually in film and TV beforehand. Anyway, had my kids. I struggled actually to have my third child, Rupert. I had 4 miscarriages having him, which I'm very honest about, because I then had him, and I think, funny enough, if we're basing it on menopause, I was postnatal and perimenopause, which I think actually, and I've said this quite a few times, is where a lot of women at the moment do find themselves, because we are having children slightly later.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, I ended up qualifying as a PT around about 40, because I just I've always loved fitness. I've not been into it in the way that I am now, but I have loved being fit and keeping fit. But I didn't really feel there was anything. I live in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't really a gym. There was nowhere to go. And that kind of spoke to a lot of my friends and resonated with them. So I decided to qualify. So I did my level 2, my level 3, and it all just kind of escalated from there. And then I started doing an Instagram account, and it has just grown. And I think it's because my workout started. Rupert was 2. He got involved. He would crawl on me. He would have tantrums. And I think that spoke to a lot of mums, women at home that couldn't get to a gym because of childcare issues, or I think also a lot of women in our demographic can find themselves feeling very daunted at the prospect of going to a gym. We don't know how everything works. So I just felt that in doing those free workouts, it was a way of reaching people. And since then, I've now taken it online. And developed a program specifically aimed at women plus 35 to give them extra help as they come into that menopause stage. And also I have a little studio at home where I teach spin when I can, when it opens up. Yeah.
So how old is Rupert now? So how old are your kids?
So I've got Ollie, who's 14.
Okay.
Sophie, who is 11, and then Rupert, who is 4.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing this a couple of years. Did it mainly sort of go a bit crazy during this lockdown period, or was it already on its way?
first lockdown, it really kicked off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'd always done my Instagram classes, like I said, and then obviously everybody else decided to do them too. But then they stopped after first lockdown. I carried on, and it did, and it just kind of, I got a lot of support actually from Women's Health magazine. I got a lot of support from, because what I then found, and that's what we'll come on to, was that I then found myself in that perimenopausal stage last year and had a terrible year, and actually realised that I had to start changing the way that I was training in order to reach the goals that I was trying to reach and what it was I was trying to achieve, because everything I'd been doing before wasn't working anymore. And that's where I think a lot of women find themselves, work out what's changed. And then I had terrible anxiety, heart palpitations, breathlessness, joint pain. I mean, the rage was a real thing. And that all happened in the lockdown. So that's sort of been my journey into it. And then I just realized there was nobody out there like there are. I mean, obviously there's a lovely Amanda Thebe and other women that are championing that movement. But just in terms of the fitness world, there aren't that many people that women might want to relate to, or you know, that six pack and that which is brilliant, but just not attainable really unless you're making massive sacrifices, and as most women will know, who live a life of caring, I know we're going to go, they're caring for parents and children, there isn't that time to commit sometimes to looking that way. And actually I think it's so important that when we come into this wonderful phase of life, because I think we really truly have to embrace it, because it is a wonderful stage, that we look at it for our mental benefits, and obviously bone strength, muscle health, heart health, and all of those other things.
So how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 45 this year.
45, yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, a lot of people probably know my own story. I mean, we've got a lot of new members recently the last few weeks. So for those that don't, I just thought I'd quickly, I relate so much to what you're saying, because as a mum of 4 kids, I actually was a real coper. I managed very well with my kids and working and kind of running a home and everything. And so it was just a couple of years before your age, so 43, when all my symptoms started over a 4-year period. And because they were misdiagnosed as like you, depression, anxiety, joint pain, heart palpitations, exactly the same, and you think you're going mad. And what I found was that I put on 4 stone in weight, which I've talked about before, just because I couldn't get myself better. So, I turned to comfort eating and not exercising. And then you get into that horrible downward spiral, and it's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
And I think I've realized now, and I talk about it a lot, especially on the Facebook group, that, I've realized now that until you get your hormones balanced in whatever way that is, whether that's through, nutrition, or if that doesn't work for you, whatever way, for me, it was HRT. It's been life transforming actually, but it's almost like you can't address that fitness. So I don't know. It's like the brain won't allow you to engage.
Yeah, don't you think what's really is that actually we get to that stage, and this is what I was sort of saying to someone else, like we have when you go and train to do a PT as a PT, you can specialize in various different areas, and you can train and do postnatal and prenatal, and you learn all of that. There is no, and it actually is slightly like GP training from what I can understand. I'm not a GP, and anyone correct me if I'm wrong on that medical side, but there's no specific training. It is also really important to say that you don't have to have specific training for someone who is in menopause. It's not like we can't, not any trainer can train someone. What it is it's understanding where that woman is coming from and how she's got to that point, and what it is we can do about it, because not many men are going to want to talk about, but they might, pelvic floors, and then the decline in estrogen, and the lack of sleep, and lack of libido, and vaginal dryness, and all that. I mean, can you imagine sitting on the gym floor and kind of throwing out at your male coach? He'd be like, oh my God, this woman I had today. And it's actually kind of having those conversations earlier at 30, and implementing them then, so that we can, by the time we are 40, we kind of know that's coming, and it's just a much easier journey, and nobody has to get to the point where they've put on 4 stone to have route of then losing 4 stone. Like that doesn't
Yeah.
a thing, because you know your health, risk of diabetes, heart health, all of those things would have come into play as soon as you get yourself to that point. And actually you're really lucky because you got out of it, but there are so many women
Yeah.
that haven't got out of it. And actually, having launched the online program, I've spoken to a lot of women, and some of them I've spoken to just said, well, it's not really for me because I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can get back there. I don't think I can. And it's like, but you really can. You really, and it's giving women confidence to take those steps, but really not even getting there in the first place.
Absolutely. And I think I was in that almost 10-year rut where I just thought, I give up. You know, I haven't lost a pound. I've tried all, you know, everything. Nothing's working. Maybe this is just what midlife should look like and is, and, you know, almost give up. And actually, it's funny, you know, talking about your online sessions. This lockdown has done me a massive favor, because I would never do anything online or a video. You know, I would hopefully, you know, go and find a friend, go and find a class, and I might like it, but I'd stand at the back, you know, maybe because everyone else was all these sort of gym bunnies and I wanted to hide. But now that I've found an online fitness video because I had to, I actually love it, because I think you've got no excuses, because actually you can be done and dusted at 7:45 and you've still got the whole day.
Yeah.
How do you find that motivation to kind of get out of bed? I mean, you're very bouncy. I love it. I wish I was bouncy like you. I mean, you've got 3 kids. How do you get motivated?
So it was really hard last year when I was obviously going through my hormonal crisis as well. But for me, the benefits, mental health benefits, have always been so huge. And I'm very honest again about my journey. I had disordered eating growing up, and that I think what actually happened, and again I will say it, I sort of started eating again, which was obviously a great thing, and fell in love with food, but I also fell in love with exercise at the same time. And I wouldn't say that I over exercised and replaced it, but what exercise enabled me to do was just to function better and have a clearer mind. So I would say that in that respect, that's how it helped me. And then when I had Rupert, again, I hadn't exercised for ages, and it was those tiny little steps forward that just worked for me. It was totally the mental benefits, and I stopped making it about a weight thing. And ever since I've stopped making it about a weight thing, it's so much easier. I don't have scales in the house. I don't have anything in the house. It's about how I feel, and listening to my body. You know, I maybe sometimes I do too many workouts, and that's fine, but nothing hurts, nothing aches. I feel like I'm on track for everything that I want to do. So if all that is working, that's fine. But Rupert is up at 5:30 anyway, really. So I think it's one of those things that I can plonk him in front of the TV, not feel guilty, and then go and do exercise. But also I love it. I miss it, and I love it, and it's much like you with what you've created and your Facebook group and what you've created here, the community, and you get those comments of people that don't know each other from all sorts of different places championing each other to succeed. And that the power of that is huge. And I love it, and I will always do my free workouts for as long as I can. And you know, my friends, my husband sometimes think, you're absolutely bonkers, you know, you're doing all this free content. But you know what, I am lucky because I'm able to do that. I do, my income comes from my spin when that is up and running, and I want to give back to and help all the women that have found themselves in a place that I've been to. And if I can do that, then why not?
I mean, absolutely, that's exactly what I say. I think you just don't want other people to go through the rubbish time that you've been through unnecessarily, when actually there are some fairly simple, you know, ways to get around that. And what about things like nutrition? Has that always been an important factor? Because I know, you know, when we were growing up, I mean, I'm a bit older than you, but in the 80s, it was all the F-plan diet and you know, no fat, and now it's like, yes, good fats, and you know, I think half of my problem, and a lot of women, is you actually forget how to eat normally because you're just not, there's so much advice out there. And actually food, you know, isn't even pleasurable. You spend so much time actually having to think about it.
Well, also, Katie, I think like the more you think about it, the more you deprive yourself, the more you want it. It's like anything. The more you keep away, that you know, if you say you can't have that chocolate bar or you can't have that bowl of pasta, I mean, God, you're going to want that bowl of pasta, and you're so going to want that chocolate bar. But diet, obviously, as you know, does play a huge part again as we come into menopause, because even with the amount of exercise that I was doing when I hit 40, and I hadn't changed anything, I definitely noticed my middle got spongier. It didn't really bother me because I thought, well, I'm going to have to work with this. But I have worked out I've now worked out what works for me in myself, working to the best of the ability. And I have actually given up alcohol, because that was not, I think a lot of women come to that stage when they come into perimenopause, that alcohol and menopause, you know, for me it was dulling a lot of the wasn't dulling the symptoms of menopause, but it was, I guess it became a coping mechanism of feeling so terrible. I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna have a drink, and that leads ultimately to making bad food choices. There is a lot of research, and I'm actually doing more between sugar and perimenopause and the hormone imbalances. So, I mean, diet is hugely important, but all I would just encourage any woman say is, you know, like you're saying, the generation that we were brought up in, you know, carbs are your enemy, and don't eat carbs, eat carbs, because slow release carbs for your hormone health is so incredibly important, you know, and that's your brown rice, that's pasta, that's quinoa, that's, you know, Merchant Gourmet. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but they do those lovely packets of, you know, and it's all done and it's there. And that's quite a good quick fix. You can chuck one of those in a microwave, slap on some smoked salmon or some salmon, a little bit of spinach, and you've got a delicious meal. Don't starve yourself. And I think that's what a lot of people that have come to me, I've noticed, is that they're not eating enough, they're working out too much, and they're just not getting the right results.
And actually, you sort of hit the nail on the head about, I think I've changed my mindset massively. I think what finally did it, actually, I mean, it's terrible to say, is this COVID pandemic. It was the day when they said that people who are obese or, you know, have a very high BMI fare far worse. And you were watching those, you know, images coming out this time last year. And actually, I thought, God, you know what? This is enough now. This is nothing to do with what I look like in my jeans or my next dress or my holiday, but actually this is for life. And also, you know, with menopause, osteoporosis and, you know, bone health. Let's talk a little bit about that. You know, why is exercise so important for us through this period, and what would you recommend to actually, you know, build bone strength?
About that heart health, that actually cardiac fitness is key, because heart disease can be the biggest killer amongst midlife women, because as soon as the estrogen plummets, the rate of heart disease go up. So it's really important to have that cardiac side, cardio side, you know, for obviously that part. In terms of I mean, it's difficult in terms of fitness, because a lot of women do have those aches and those pains, and, you know, HIIT become a huge thing, but there is something called LIST, which is just as beneficial, which is low, steady state. So that's walking for an hour, cycling for an hour, all of those things. But obviously, in terms of fitness, your bone health, your muscle mass automatically, you know, we're already losing battle in terms of aging when we come into menopause, but you can't reverse the signs of aging, but you can work with those and get the benefits, and you can build lean muscle. It just takes a little bit longer, but these are all the reasons we need to lift, and that's where that again is where women need to learn to change their training, because I think again we've come from, or I know I certainly have, that era of pounding the pavements and running, and, you know, cross trainers, and just unless we're sweating, we're not having a good workout, and none of that's true. I mean, I think it's really important to say that any movement is brilliant, and as long as you're moving, that doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a HIIT workout, it doesn't have to be a long run. All of these things are going to benefit your heart, your bones, your muscles. But just to try, the one thing I would suggest is to try and add resistance or strength training to whatever movement that you are doing, whether that's Pilates or yoga. Yes, body weight does help and have an impact in terms of all of that, but just adding a little bit of weight will help better in terms of your bone minerals and density, and hopefully fighting any onset of osteoporosis or osteopenia or anything like that.
So what does your day look like? I mean, I've seen some amazing pictures of you. Is it cold water swimming you're doing, or?
Love. Good for you as well. That for me, do you know what? That I discovered that, as you know, my dad hasn't been well, and again,
I want to talk about that. That's
that second generation that we're in, and actually that's where I sort of started it. Although I've always gone to see him where he lives in Bosham, and you know, I used to sail and all of that sort of stuff. It was the October half term last year, and I went, and my lovely friend Rebecca, we went in our bikinis. And then it just kind of happened from there that I'd go down to see my dad, and I would find it quite stressful. And then I would just take myself off and go for these cold water swims. And I haven't stopped all winter, and I loved it. And even so much so that we're lucky to have a pool at home. And I asked the people who help look after our pool in the summer if they could keep it open for the winter. So it has been kept open all winter. So I've been pool in, you know, and it's amazing. Mentally, that's an amazing thing.
Why is it good? Is it just the kind of shock, or does it speed up the metabolism, or what is it?
There are some very probably scientific reasons behind it. No, I think it is very good for you. I think it helps boost your immune system. It's really good for your circulation, for all of those things. I think for me, I can't think about anything else because I'm so bloody cold. So yeah, for those few seconds, you're like, oh. And it is amazing because in my pool that's actually warmer than the sea, I can go in the sea and go for like 15 minutes now. So I started off and I was doing 2 or 3 minutes, and I can now go for 15 minutes and practically think about swimming to France. But when in my swimming pool, I can't. But you know, you're there, and the other night I went and there was the sunset, and it helps you switch off. And I was saying this the other day about exercise, actually, to the lady, to everyone that was doing it, is imagine when you're here and you're working out, when you are for those 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, wherever you are, this is your box and this is your bubble, and put yourself in there and forget everything else that's going on outside and focus on yourself, because there is so much talk about self-care, and for a lot of self-care doesn't look like it does for other people. And you know, you may not have the time to sit and read a book and have a nice bath, and then you can start to beat yourself up, I find, if you're not doing self-care because everyone's talking about it. But exercise is self-care. That is self-care. And the power of lifting weights, and then that cold water swimming, you're having to focus on like lifting the weights and thinking about what you're doing. So for those minutes, you're in your own zone and you're thinking about what you're doing, and that's where I think it build that strength and resilience mentally, and then obviously physically it comes on top.
I mean, that's what I found with this. You know, I found this morning workout. I do it every other day. It's the same one. I think I've been doing it for a year now, because it's almost like a comfort blanket, because I'm too scared to find something new. And what I found with it is that at the end, just the stretches and just kind of breathing in and out. And actually, I think it's actually not, for me, it's not even about the exercise before it. That last bit of breathing is like, actually I can now start my day. But look, I'm really sorry to hear about your dad. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I think, you know, this whole thing of this sandwich generation, you know, we've got aging parents, I've got 4 kids who are sort of late teens, early 20s. It's a juggle, but you know, my father unfortunately had a heart attack on Boxing Day, and I know how frightening that was, you know, in the middle of COVID. But, you know, just talk a bit about what you've been going through with your dad and how you're coping, juggling that. I
mean, the weird thing is I think, and again, I will credit kind of HRT and having gone through that journey, because I think mentally I'm in an amazing place in terms of being able to cope with it. Pancreatic cancer in September last year. As we know, not that any cancer is a great cancer to get, that's not really one of the best ones, but he is amazing. I mean, I think maybe that's why I have that get up and go, because I'm quite like him, like totally won't take no for an answer. And if anyone says that's going to happen, well, it's not, you know, and you're going to, then he is very, very, very strong. It's not been easy, and he's definitely, you know, we're like this. But I have been caring for him. So I became a registered carer, actually, which meant that I was able to go and see him. So it's weird. I mean, because I'm grateful that I'm able to go and see my dad and look after him. And actually, in a weird way, with COVID, we were able to form a bubble with the kids. But that in itself, I mean, I go and see him on a Monday and Tuesday, so I'm there Monday, Tuesday. Luckily I can do my work from online, but then I come back, and we were homeschooling the kids obviously at the same time. So it's been a huge pull, and they were worried about him. So it's not been easy. It really hasn't. But at the moment, you know, he's doing well. He's doing as well as we can expect. And actually we are going to, because I'm allowed to go and care for him next week, going to be going to care for him next week. But again, it's a weird one, because it's made me realize how, you know, and I go running, and I think it's made me realize how important exercise and moving and dealing with our menopause symptoms and all of this is, because actually you can, like you say, you can get stuck and you can get these aches and you can get these pains, and I'm not saying that it would have stopped him being ill or anything like that, but if I can give my body the best fighting chance of being fit and moving and staying strong and making it, actually, you know, yes, I'm only 44, but, you know, I look at my daughter and I think I want to play with my grandchildren and I want to run around with my grandchildren. And to look at it in that perspective, and to place so much emphasis on, you know, making the whatever menopause and midlife something that's dull and dreary, make it about just really going, to know what, right, you're through all the crap of kind of the 30s, you know, this is something that's so exciting, and this is a time to really make those strength gains, make those mental changes, and become strong in all aspects, so that you show your kids how brilliant that is. And, you know, you're not that, you know, I'm 45, I'm pretty much the oldest mum really that sort of picks up Rupert from school. I don't want to be seen being, you know, oh god, Rupert's got an old mum. I want to be able to out mums at mothers' races, although they don't. But, you know, I want to be there for my grandchildren. I want to be able to run around with them. That's kind of, I think, in terms of what gets you up in the morning, and what inspires me and what motivates me, is being around for my kids. And more than ever, having seen that kind of with what is going on with my dad, like I want to do it for that, you know, and keep that strength going. I mean, it's not going to, it wouldn't necessarily change any outcome, but just to make sure that I'm always the fittest I can be.
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of people watching may be just thinking, well, I just kind of wish I could be like that. And I will say it until I'm blue in the face, but I had 4 years at your age where I would literally drop the kids at school and lie on a couch and sleep all day or cry all day. And, you know, I know HRT isn't for everyone, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, it was life-changing. And it wasn't just about no longer crying, no longer feeling depressed, but it was like the brain, it was like almost like, you know, because we've got estrogen receptors everywhere, but it was like everything just connected in my brain. And, you know, I'm like you now, I feel, you know, I'm just buzzing and I'm full of energy and I'm working and I'm doing so much. And I was like this in my 20s. And then I think that period of time where you have kids, you know, I had one miscarriage, you know, compared to you, seems like you know, nothing. But I think to go through, you know, miscarriage and bringing up, you know, 4 kids, and I've had a hysterectomy as well. And it's like, oh, finally, now everything's kind of come together, age 51. It's, you know, the HRT, the nutrition, finally I've lost the weight. And, you know, we've got so much to give in midlife, and there's so many demands on us. You know, we're looking after our parents and our kids. They need us to be firing from all cylinders.
What's wonderful is like what we need to do, because I think for us, and I don't know if you find it, that, you know, social media, all of this sort of stuff is quite alien to our demographic. And so I definitely, when I started, found myself following not wrong accounts, but just not finding the right people, and finding, like, not my tribe, I hate that kind of thing, but like finding people that I was like, okay, this is good. And now there are so many wonderful women. I mean, there's you, there's Meg, there's Davina, there's Dr. Menopause Care, there's Louise Newson. You know, there are so many wonderful women, Amanda Thebe, Diane Dansborough, all doing all of this amazing stuff around menopause. Like, unfollow that making you feel bad about yourself, and follow the people that are giving the real picture of how to be healthy, how to be fit, how to stay strong, and what to do to help yourself. Because unrealistic visuals and images of people that might not perhaps be able to appreciate what it is we go through as we come into the menopause. I'm not saying that people won't, but just find what works for you to help you get over that hurdle, and then go back and follow all those people.
Yeah.
But for that moment, just think about what helps you get through that moment.
Absolutely. I'm just going to have a quick read of some of these questions. I'm going to scroll all the way back to the beginning and just check I haven't missed anything. So right, lots of hellos. Hello.
HRT.
That's all at the bottom. I'm not even there yet. I thought I don't want to miss anything, because last time I did this with some really good questions. Okay. Oh, someone liked my done and dusted catchphrase. Well, that's true. In the morning now, literally 7 o'clock, 7:45, I'm finished. And then I'm like, okay, I can get going. Right. So great stuff. Love Merchant Gourmet. Funny enough, my daughter does PR for Merchant Gourmet. Right. Someone said you should do the polar bear challenge.
Also, they do, the Merchant Gourmet do these really lovely, they do the whole chestnuts as well, which I would like to say, really good snack. So you can just, don't put them in the microwave, however. Do you know what happened? I'll tell you this story very quickly. So they do these whole chestnuts, and all the Merchant Gourmet packets you can put into the microwave and heat up the rice or whatever. And I think it was last Christmas, I just didn't read it, and I put the whole chestnuts in. And actually it was slightly their fault, and I did email them and tell them. But it's in
did it explode?
It had a metallic bottom, so I couldn't it didn't say anywhere, so I did email them and say, look, I think you need to put on your packaging, because it's an automatic thing, and you say don't put in the microwave, so don't
Okay, kids, don't do that, kids. Okay, so Lucy said, did your HRT work straight away? Well, I'll go first and then you can reply. It took me a couple of months, I would say. I had to wean myself off the antidepressants in the first month, but by month 2, it was amazing for me. What about you, Kate?
So I was a little bit longer. I didn't find that and this is again such personal choice, I didn't find that the gel worked for me, because I forget things a lot. That was obviously brain fog, but now I have my testosterone, I don't forget so much. But yeah, so and also because when you're working out, you have to put it on an hour before, and then I suddenly might have had a client, and so I now have the patches. Okay. But I say that in terms of how long did it take to work, about 2 months. Because really, but
I think that's a lot of people say, yeah,
and I think sometimes it can be it's like psychosomatic, where you feel like finally you're getting help, and so I definitely maybe even after 2 weeks, I think I remember saying to Rebecca, I do feel great, and she was like, well, I don't know that it'll happen, but I think what it was I was like, I've done something about it, and I've taken that leap, and I've taken that. A lot of women, you decide to go for HRT, and I was really scared, actually, as my mum had breast cancer, so she wasn't sort of overly on board, and then I was like, am I too young? Everyone's told me I'm too young, yet I'm getting so many of the symptoms. So you can you can get caught up in not feeling so sure about it. I would say to anyone that isn't sure about it, if you are under some really great guidance from a menopause a doctor who is brilliant with menopause, whether that's your GP or not, do it if you are physically able to and health wise. Because when I look back to where I was last year, I mean, it's been
it's night and day. And look, we've got a menopause resources section on our website. We have a list of menopause specialists that we always recommend people to see, and the BMS have lots of NHS specialists as well. We've got a symptom checklist and questions to ask your doctor. So and that we're constantly signposting women for the right support. Right, we're running out of time, so I just want you to give us your top take-home tips for us midlife women, to how you can motivate yourself to get into fitness, and then keep it going as a long-term commitment, I suppose.
So my top tip would really be to say to people, don't look at it from the aesthetics point of view, because it's when we talk about goal setting, I love that you asked me a question and I'm going to take forever to answer it. In the SMART goals that we learn to set when we're a personal trainer, you know, they were goals that people learn in business, and your body is not your business. Like, a body is not a business. And I can't say to you, you know, set that goal and go and do it, because actually sometimes what is a goal? Like, what is a goal in fitness? I think a goal can be getting out of bed and doing that one workout. But I say to anybody, just start, take tiny little steps forward, and you will begin to see the differences. But don't look at those differences as being a weight focus, because that will come if that is your goal. But you've got to get the movement first, and also be patient with yourself and be kind, because that now's not the time to start beating yourself up. Eat well, healthy, make sensible food choices. I mean, it's all of those things that are so obvious to us yet can be so hard to do. And I also really appreciate that. Like, I find it easy to get up because I've done it for so long, but you too can be like that. And that's why throughout the whole of March I'm trying to do this giveaway of Monday and Friday, and getting brands involved to encourage people to join at 6:30 in the morning. And actually, it's amazing. Like, on the Mondays and the Fridays, there have been around about 80 or 90 people joining the workouts live. Amazing. And then that has slowly gone up throughout the month, because people have made those little changes and they're like, okay, well, I can do that. And then you carry on going, and it just becomes easier and easier and easier. So just stick with it, and also reach out, ask for help, talk to people, do your research, find people that you feel can help you stay motivated. And honestly, it will happen, but give it around 3 months for any changes to happen. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, you say you don't like the word tribe, but for me, that's what it was. It's just finding your tribe, finding the right fitness program, the right people to support you, and small steps at a time. But you know, absolutely. I've seen a few other comments. Lucy, anyone who wants to email me if you're worried at all about things like breast cancer and HRT, you know, my father's a retired breast cancer professor, so that sadly there's nothing I don't know now, and I'm very keen to myth bust. So if you want to email me, katie@lattelounge.co.uk, and I can send you some fantastic information and support and signposting.
That happened, and that's caused such
yeah, it's the WHI report. Yeah.
It's
It's so frustrating, and you know, we make lots of steps forward and then a load back, but you know, we're determined. So Lucy, pleasure, just feel free to email me. So listen, thank you again, Kate. It was lovely to meet you. And everyone, how can they find you other than on Instagram?
Well, I mean, mainly Instagram. I've got my Kate RH_fitness on Instagram. I have got my website where, if you did want to register for the online fitness program, you can. I'm not taking on everybody, as in, I will call you. I call everybody and talk to them. I mean, that's the other thing, is that it's not like an app where you just sign up and pay your $14.99. It's not $14.99 a month anyway, but you know, you get handheld me, and I check in with you and I talk to you, and we make sure that what we're doing is right for you. So it's not something I'm taking on loads of people, because I physically can't, but those two places. So thank you.
Okay, brilliant. No, pleasure. And Sandra, I've already done lots of interviews with my father. It's all on our website. And there was an interview we did on Sky News. So if you go over to our website, it's lattelounge.co.uk, and our fabulous Facebook group as well. And if you can't find what you're looking for, just email me and I will point you in the right direction. So thanks again, Kate. It was lovely to see you, and I really wish you and your dad well. Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll meet up.
Yes, definitely. Take care, everyone, and have a good evening.
Bye, lovely.
Bye.